pretty cool.
Whatever it was. 6 p.m. on June 10th, 2025, the open session, the board of directors, public business call to it. What is it? First, I'd like to have Greg come up. Alden. And then you were gonna be on the health issues and stuff, but we haven't been able to get it. I'd like to thank this for all the dedication and stuff we've got the last 8 years.
Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you. I can get use out of this.
Hopefully, yes.
You're welcome. Okay. Thank you.
Well,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
how are you doing? The board's been asking me and been telling me what you're addressing and.
So we're 5.5 weeks out of surgery. Driving. Yay.
That was Rob sitting in the passenger seat. They're all safe.
Everything's going good. Definitely can tell you that I'm running on all 8 cylinders now. It feels amazing. When you get oxygen after not having it for a couple of years, it's amazing how it does. But, everything went great.
Thank you for coming in.
I would just.
Thank you.
I would like to say, Greg, it was a pleasure sitting next to you and working with you the last 2 years. I always felt like you were a guy that would get to the point straight to it, and I appreciated that. I always thought that you were the guy that was looking out for everyone. I thought you were looking out for, the individual and protecting them against big government. So I appreciate that. And 8 years is a long time to do this, and we're going to miss you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'd just like to thank you too, Greg. You really helped me out when I first started, get me on your wing a little bit, got me on the right path. I appreciate everything you did, like Ray said. I liked your upfront to the point attitude and
Thank you.
Greg, it was a pleasure. It was, good work. It wasn't always good, but it was good. And probably the thing that I thought, we weren't afraid to disagree. And, that's what we need in spite of the truth. When you were very young and one of the important factors, you thought about things and you wanted to make it a discussion and help make decisions. So I think it was really good having you on the board. And, we look at the boards, all boards, we think they're good. But what you hear, we were good.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you doing it. We're gonna miss you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks for coming in. First on the study session, GMS tank change orders. Jason came down and he will go through what you have in your packet. All right, so we're going through the three tanks and various pieces associated with them. I thought probably the first thing to get us all on the same page was to go through kind of the macro level bucket. And I sent that down to Jim, so I'm assuming that is in your packet. Yes. And macro level, we have a little over 3.6 million for the whole project. And out of that, 436,000 in soft cost and administrative engineering. So that leaves a little over 3.2 million for construction. And out of the project, we've already completed the schedule 1 and 2 is getting to the point where they're wrapping up here with 2. And so if you take their that were committed. That leaves $1,064,626.93. That's what's left for Schedule 3. So if you go to the next page, that kind of gives us where we're at on Schedule 3. So right now, where we're at with Schedule 3, under what is currently awarded, we have $1,180,375. That's in that award. So right now, if you take what money is available compared to what is awarded, we are already short by $115,000, almost $116,000. So I'm gonna pause there and jump into now the tank portions. Any questions up to this point? Okay. So running through the tanks, tank 1 and 2 were tested inside for lead, and they came back not only hot, but really hot. Tank 2, I think, was at 35%, tank 1 at 20 or 23% lead content. So in that, the question was, how are we going to deal with that? Andrew had put together some costs, and I think one of the big things was there's an additive that you can add to mixture for sandblasting. It's called Blastox. Within that, it reacts chemically with lead. And basically, what it does over, say, hours to days in that period, it makes it insoluble. So if it falls outside or inside, what have you, it doesn't leach out into the ground, hence being considered a hazardous waste. So by using, yep,
I'm sorry. What is ASTM methodology you guys use to test for lead? And can we share the results? I didn't see as far.
yes, it was an EPA method.
Oh, it was an EPA?
Mhm. It is SW 846, page 3050B/7420-N. And I can get you the results, but I have them here. I can send them to you electronically.
Please.
Yep. So with that, the Blastox will make the lead insoluble, which helps on more so on the disposal level. So when you're actually in the process of sandblasting, you still have the issue with airborne lead inside, especially in a confined space inside the tank. So that's really the issue with the painting portion of it. You're still going to have to address the lead abatement with regard to the human interface and contact. With that, once you have the personal protection equipment, you're going to have air circulation, filters, what have you.
But in a way, it's kind of admitting to have the, as a closed
Yes,
system. that
it
you don't have to
completely,
environmentally.
absolutely. Because if we had it on the opposite end, that could be a potential issue where you're now having a tent, and that's where it gets ungodly expensive. So being contained is, you're right, 100%. It's, in my opinion, it's a very good thing. You just have to clean the air more so for the guys who are doing the work inside the tank. Questions on any of that? So in the numbers that Andrew had provided, we hit 90,100 going back through it. One of them on the profit side seemed a little bit high based on what the contract allows. Contract allows 10%. So taking that into account, it put it at $87,010. Additional cost with both tank 1 and 2, and now this is just the interior texture and roof. We are seeing an increase in cost as a result of it being back all the way in 2022. Now we're jumping to 2025. That's the abrasive material at $1,800 per tank, coating at $5,300, and then the vent sides, those got modified in size and also more at the base. We needed, correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, but a larger base to cover the size of the hole.
Yeah,
That's going to be generated.
all three tanks need a rebat to cover the gap that we're taking off the old tank. Then putting on the riser net on the rebat to seal all that.
gonna get a real tight mesh or hole insulation installed. You're going back to more state criteria on size of the vent and even height of the vent.
The size is driven by the airflow calculations. So
Too big. The whole,
No.
original hole.
yeah, and it's higher up in the state.
Other questions on that? And then Andrew also provided, we had got together with Jim a few weeks back trying to kick around ideas on how we can reduce costs. One thought was, is there any way we can reduce the amount of time it takes to do the sandblasting? Because that's one of the higher expenditures with regard to renting all of the equipment. And if we can reduce the amount of air time, what have you. So one thought was if we used, a different type of coating in tank number one, and it would be 100% solids coating, so it would go on thicker. That would have a cure time of like a day. So in essence, we could paint it and start filling it the next day. Whereas typically you're waiting about a week or so, where you're going in between reports.
That was the through bill process.
Yes. That was an option. If you took into the number Andrew provided, reduced, that 5,300, it comes up to about $5,100 extra for doing that work. So, this is the question, 5,100 versus 5,300? In addition to, so the total number was like 10,300. The 5,300 was the increase in cost. This is the coating is more expensive, so we would add that on top of that, so you come up to that 10,300.
Clarification on home. It's one or the other.
Yes,
So the 5,300 will be for tank two. The 10,400 will be for tank one. They're not additional, they're set, right? We are gonna go this route. One is for tank two and one is for tank.
in that particular table, you're looking at the math in that column, and have both options together, maybe one or the other, not both.
Yeah, the only thing that would overlap would be the abrasive increase, and then one cost would be for same coatings that we submitted on a couple of years ago, and we'll use that increase, everything, primer and the finish what it has. And then 10,000 of the sport to 100 solids that.
For the 10,600, for tank one and two, is if you don't do tank option three, but the math in that column is both is moving together instead of just one or the other. I have another sheet where we're gonna go through a bunch of different options. It's just a clarification thing.
Yeah, I noticed it'd be typos on there.
Yeah, it's a mathematical thing.
Yeah, it's one or the other. The idea was to save cost on the lead and the dust collection rental. We put one to the other way faster and not allow us to do that.
And the less us get water into the tank, and you tank faster than use.
Yeah, one day.
That's 1 week, we want to.
Yeah, so we would finish today, you can start building.
All right. Any more questions on tank one and two? All right, on tank three, it also has lead, but it's significantly lower. So if you went back and looked at tank one and two, 23 to 30, 32, 35%, somewhere in there. Tank one is at 2.9, so a whole lot less. Again, using blast docks, that would solve the issue there as well, but not as big of a concern given that percentage is a whole lot lower factor like that. Again, in Andrew's letter, increase in costs. I broke this between interior and exterior because exterior we have three different options. I'll go through those, but interior was an increase of both abrasive and coating material of $48,125 spent. On that, it's $5,900, and the handrail is $6,075. On the exterior of the tank, we have three options, one being a one coat, one being two coats, one being three coats, meaning what was specified in the original bid. The other two not. That's really the big difference between those. And with that, though, you have a difference in length of time that those coatings are gonna last. One coat, Andrew was estimating somewhere between 10 to 12 or 14 years. Two coats around the 20-year mark. Is that right?
Yeah.
And three coats, if I'm remembering correctly, somewhere in the 25-year mark. With that, though, there is obviously a difference in cost. Three coats would be an additional $17,385. Two coats would be $1,160, and one coat would be a reduction of $20,180. So the difference between a one coat and a three coat is $38,725, and that's more just to give you a barometer of cost. If you look at this like on a yearly basis, obviously your 25-year with a three coat is going to be much cheaper than a one coat over that 10 to 14-year period, where you just get more life out of it.
What's the life expectancy of the tank itself? And 25 fit into its life expectancy?
You know, I think once you're getting in, I think one of the questions would be on the interior, how bad any pitting or anything of the steel is. I don't know that. But assuming it's in good condition, if you stay on top of your coatings, that tank can last decades. It's not you don't want to have it be a throwaway, put it that way.
Well, let's say you say assuming it's in good condition, what it is.
That's where you have to go back and start assessing how much steel is left. And it could be something where it's just, oh, we need to do a patch here or there. Really what the worst place in your tank is that upper level where your water is fluctuating up and down, and it's that area where you have air. So you almost have 100% humidity and you have really high chlorine, which makes that environment really aggressive. So if you start losing a coating, it's typically on that upper section. The roof is probably one of the number one places where it starts to deteriorate. So that's really where your focus is, on that underneath side of the tank, in that upper, maybe 8 feet, 8 to 16 feet, somewhere in there, depending on, not sure how much you fluctuate the tank. But if you're submerged, it should be better condition compared to up above.
When will we know? In the process of the project, when will we know what condition the interior is?
Once the tank is taken down and Andrew and his crew get inside and sandblast a section of it, that'll give us a really good idea.
Will we be able to rethink this decision if it's not for 25 years from also folks?
I think yes, you would. It all depends on how we go through this, and what options we take. But yes. What question?
So you got inside and checked the lead in that tank?
Yes,
You got inside of it?
Andrew did. Andrew got inside the hatch. And that came out to 2.9%.
Anything below.
How far down did you get, Andrew?
I reached in as far as I could and scraped the hatch. You gotta get a good size in the back. Possibly get one hatch.
Okay.
Other questions? The last item, would be added mold and demold costs, given how everything has shaken out, and that stood at 18,000. So this is where it gets interesting on what are the various options we can play with. Off the top, you have three options. One being the three different exterior coatings of tank 3. And that would include everything with tank 1 and 2 on the interior, tank 3, interior changes in cost, and the exterior with a 3-coat system. That total additional cost came up to $292,105. Option 2, where you have 2 coatings on the exterior of tank number 3, is $275,880. And option 3, with 1 coat, is $254,540. Now, if you added in the 100% solids for tank number 1, you could add $5,100 to those 3 options. And that shows the difference that you're seeing on the backside. It should, instead of shortfall, that should say this total cost. I apologize for that. That gives you the differences in cost. And then below that is the total shortfall coming in short at almost 116,000. That gives you the range. And there is another option as well. And this all depends on available funds and where we stand with those. But if we need to keep costs just to what the project came in with the ARPA funding at the 3.6 million, we can look at doing just the exterior of tank 3. And again, you have the 1 through 3 coats. You have do the 1 coat option. You are in the black by $8,651. 2 coatings were short $11,528. And 3 coatings were short $27,753. So again, gives you the whole set of options.
No, I want that range.
So the number to get-
Yeah.
I don't know where you're looking at.
Yeah,
We can't.
I did,
I'm looking for.
yes, this one I actually just did before the meeting. I sat down, trying to think of another option. This one I came up with.
Sure.
So the 3 coatings is short $27,753. 2 coatings, $11,528. 1 coat, you have a balance of $8,651. $8,651.
That's not doing the interior.
That is not in the interior.
So I guess my question would be is if there was an issue on the interior of the tank, that seems more critical than the exterior.
I would agree. But it goes back to, I mean, we could also run the numbers the other direction. I was just trying to balance out if we could hit right around that 3 million and limit how much cash is coming out of pocket. That was an option. We could easily go back and reverse that and look at just doing the interior. Granted, I think it's gonna be. They're about $120,000 difference. So your shortfall would jump by that 120,000 if you just did the interior. That makes sense.
So with the 1 coat system on your exterior, how long of a period would you have to say apply a second or 3rd coat?
Well, it can be under a year or it can be in 5 years. It's going to be depending on what level of preparation you need to do to recoat it. But it's to kick it down the road as long as you can. If I may add a few things, in looking at the chart here we have, I think the biggest swing is we have funds that have already been spent. The exterior of tank 1 and 2. I don't know if that already got deducted from 1.1,
It's in there.
because it's really up to 908 today. Which option will go?
I'm looking at total cost. I'm not looking at taking one out and leaving one in. So these numbers follow exactly what's been awarded and what additional costs been for.
Right, so I looked at what we have left to do, right, and what we've already done.
So could you rate chart, I don't know which one we're talking.
Well, this, I don't know if you have any.
It just, we probably have it here. I just-
No, you don't, I just think it's.
Oh, you don't, okay.
Because I don't understand where these are coming from.
Well, you won't, because this is dealing with all the project funds. So this is not,
I do understand that. I took it off what is left. That was the original contract,
yes,
but we had $272,000 that's already been spent.
you don't need to look at this number. Those numbers are wrong. That's the number, because that's what was awarded. And then any change or anything through what you're supplying is all gonna be based on this number. This number is district. only.
So we did work on the exteriors.
Yep.
Which would be deducted from that.
From this number, not that top.
Yeah. That number is truly that number back.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Bailey wants to talk to the board.
Okay, and all of this, you have to go up and spray 3 feet around tank 3, so we can put the tow ring back in.
Right.
Is that part of what you're talking about right now, or not?
No, because that's in another contract. So that would be under contract.
What,
This is.
that's on the original contract,
That's part of the
Cali project,
Kelly and Red.
but we need to get you up there to spray that 3 feet so we can put that tow ring back in.
Correct.
Alright, well, we're talking about all these other tanks, and tank 3 comes into play, but y'all are losing me.
We're focused strictly on schedule 3. That bottom 3 feet is in schedule 2. So it's not dealing with the work in schedule 3. It's separate.
Okay, so we're
Something
still
that
on
should've been-
schedule 1 and 2.
What's that?
Something that should have been done already? Is that what you said?
No, it's just in a different schedule.
So, excuse me, sir.
So,
Is that money already allotted?
Yes. Yes.
To know that's little box.
So that would already be, if you go to the front page, it's under the schedule, under D2. It will be contained in that total dollar,
Okay.
under that.
Okay.
And in that contract, they have to do the bottom 3. So that is in that contract, that's not in this now. Your contract. It's different.
okay.
Again,
So for schedule 3, there's approximately $1.06 million. That's what I'm saying.
1,064,000.
Yes.
So total of being short, for sure, do, all of them, or let's say we get the best one. They already short 115,748.
Right.
That's from the original contract.
Right, so that's adding in what additional work was added to schedule 1 and 2.
And if we were to, proceed with, option 1, 292 would be on top of that 115. Correct. It would be looking at 7,000.
$407,853.
Do we have that, petty cash fund, yeah?
Yeah, shoot.
Yeah. Young one.
So what are you suggesting?
I suggest one of two things. One, depending on how much cash you have, I would look at for sure completing tank 1 and 2 on an interior. And that leaves you a chunk of what do we do with tank 3? And that's the question again of how much cash is there. If you have some cash available, I would focus on the interior. If you,
You're talking tank two now?
yes. If you have more cash, then I'd look at doing all of tank 3. If you're really short on cash, then I would be looking at just doing, I think it really, it falls back to the only you can do is the exterior. And that would be about a wash with what's available.
But we really don't know what the condition of tank three is.
Interiors are a big question. And when going into this, we try to have an allowance to accommodate if there's structural repairs that need to be made. When we were talking with Andrew a few weeks ago, he was saying based on what pictures he saw, he didn't have as big a concern based on other tanks he'd seen. And the type of, if you look at the bolts and you can actually see the threads on the bolts, it's not corrosive enough where you don't have the threads anymore. So some of that would indicate it's not as bad a condition compared to what it would be. But until you bring that sucker and you're inside and you're actually hands on it, it's still an onion.
We'll tank that size, there's a lot of steel, right, thick steel, there's a lot of corrosion allowance. The, dive inspections we have seen do not indicate, massive structural concern. Like Jason was saying, the vapor phase is the worst phase, which is the ceiling we're talking about, and it's gonna be centralized to the vent, right, it's trying to breathe. The outer beams, 9.9 times out of 10 are in good shape. There is being concerns, it's gonna be, in the center of the tank, in which we've spliced in 4 or 5 foot pieces of steel and left the other 20 feet alone. So you're not talking about changing out an entire beam. If 3/4 of it is good, leave it alone. We've got to put in some new bolts and nuts. That's a pretty low cost. If there's some that have maybe fallen out.
So to go through this, what you're kind of talking about, temporary repair cost, that's not included in this, in fixing the exterior. So that would be a 20%. If we decided to do just complete tank 1 and 2 and just the exterior of tank 3, that wouldn't include what you were talking about as far as going into it.
Yeah, we won't know until we start.
Right.
So, and when was the last time you just had a dive inspection?
I believe 3 years. No, more than that, it was, I think you've done it every 3 years.
Yeah.
And yes, you see rust, but you don't see massive delamination from the epoxy peeling off, which would be an indicator that you do have an accelerated corrosion loss issue. What I've done on larger tanks is go in and pick the worst 10 areas you see and blast those first, or we just start going with full Monty on everything else, so that we do know off the bat either goodness or bad, or everything is. If those are 15s, are going to have enough corrosion allowance in there to have some hitting, which we likely will see. But that additional strike code and things like that.
If it's engineered and inspected.
Yeah, that is kind of.
One one of the things that I look at is when I know anything that I've ever painted, the roof of it is where it captures most of the heat and stuff. With all, now we have these chemicals breathing on top of it. Is there a way that we can do the outside, say with one coat and just the top, two coat? And that way, it buys us more time and it cuts our costs way down too. So that would be an option, I believe, that can do that.
Greg, did you have something?
Yeah, I just going right with, Jim, what he was saying. But in my own personal opinion, we need to have them go up and we need to get that toe ring in as soon as possible. I mean, there's no holding back on the toe ring. As far as one coat and going up top and working on the dome, I agree with Jim.
So Andrew, can you do the interior of just the dome, just the lid, and then come back later? Does that make sense? Come back later?
Once you get up the hill, you're gonna wanna stay up.
Okay.
You're already making a lot of trips to get up there. You're gonna wanna stay bunkered down once you get up there. I agree with the idea of putting an additional coat of protection on the roof, because you already have bare steel on the roof on the exterior. On the exterior, there's already spots that are bare steel. And the top coat is about 90% on. You've got some top coat, but it's basically primer and bare steel on the roof as it sits currently. And the roof does take the most abuse with Mother Nature, right? Rain, snow, heat, that's bonding in the water, right? All that sits up there. And shallows, heating, everything else. To do a 2 coat or a 3 coat on the roof compared to the entire tank, there's savings to be had there, because it's one less round around, right? It's 40,000 square foot of paint and everything at the time. And so, the biggest thing is taking off that stuff. The biggest cost of Dixie said was the abrasive and the time to do that, and to hit the reset button so you don't have any more corrosion. As long as you don't have corrosion, it'll last essentially forever. Right? Because you have to have that. Once there is no barrier protection, then you're on the clock to having issues. And the longer you wait, which it has been waiting a while, it's didn't just happen. It's been on the clock. So you have to hit the reset button.
So did you really save enough? Would there be enough savings of doing just a 2 coat on the exterior with 3 coat on the roof to make it worthwhile?
I think your biggest delta would be 1 coat on the shell and 2 or 3 coats.
Would you save enough to, we're talking, close to $20,000 difference between 1 and 3. How much of that would be saved if we did just 1 on the side and 3 on top?
So it's not gonna be $100,000, I can tell you that. I mean, I can run the math on it for you, but it's not gonna. We're trimming where we can trim to pay it, and it's an idea, kind of like our taking one idea of faster clearing material to save cost. So it's a give and a take.
And are you recommending that we do just the exterior of tank 3?
No.
What if we don't have the money to do the whole thing? Then what's your recommendation?
You're on the clock. More so than I left with these 6 years ago. So you're on par. So I tried to come up with ideas with the 1 coat, 2 coat, the trim, where we can trim. Do another 2 coat, 2 interiors in a month, run with our hair on fire, to save money. Some things we can't do so fast.
Great.
Andrew, I'm really sorry, but I would like very much to get the bottom 3 foot sprayed and cleaned and put that toe ring back in there. And then after the toe ring's in, Yoakum can come in and put the toe ring in. And then that bothers me. It really does.
Okay, with that being said, so with doing tank 3, 1 coat, maybe a 3 coat on the roof, interior, looking at a shortfall of what, about 300,000?
Get all the inside. Then what are you saying? 1 coat built in?
One coat on the exterior, on tank 3, with the 3 coat on the roof,
And then what about the inside?
the inside doing that as it should be done.
It's the best system.
We're doing 1 coat.
Exterior.
You're in the 254 plus the 15.
The 40.
Yep.
In the manual stuff.
Probably closer to 70 around. Opposed to what figure would you?
Opposed to 12. Looking at it as the shortfall.
It's just 1B for tank 3.
I think, the one thing I would still like to see from Andrew is the supporting documentation for the various numbers. So from your suppliers, yet to get that information, because it's just a double check. If you're provided, you have all the supporting on, yep, this number is real, here's documentation to prove it is what it is. So whatever we do, my recommendation is make it contingent upon receipt of supporting documentation.
Never looked at the contract. Does the contract support this? What contract modality was it? Line item?
It's the difference in cost. So we have the letter from Andrew, but I don't have anything from suppliers saying, here's the cost today, here's what it was, here's the cost for rental equipment. It's a number. Yes, so you have to have the documentation to support those numbers in his letter.
I think basically, break it down with the charts and with the verbiage so that everybody could understand what we're talking about.
It's an audit point, it's not just a matter of board understanding, but we're using other people's money for things, so we have to be accountable to them, to demonstrate that a trust factor or anything like that, say, Alex, how high is labor?
I think the breakdown is extremely helpful. I appreciate that. We have to have that supporting documentation.
A lot of hard work on English, on the recall part of the field, so thank you for that.
Jim?
Okay, so that would be mine. I think 1 and 2, and then go to 1 coat on tank 3 with lid in 3. And the interior, and do the interior.
And so you said that would be about 470. You.
No,
I'm sorry, 370. And you seem to like that.
yeah.
So the one piece comes back to this tank number 1, if we did this solid option. With an additional $5,100. question with that becomes, will we save enough time? And I kind of go back to you, Andrew, to some degree, and if you can perform where it's, in reality, Lord, you have a risk, and it's $5,100, which isn't, in big picture, it's not a huge amount of money, but if Andrew can save time, that's where we'll save. It will start to it'll be a multiplier of that 5,100, more so on the rental equipment.
So that you're saying that 5,100 would be a pretty good ROI, that would be a wise thing to do.
If it plays the way everyone hopes, yes. But there's risk.
With that being said though, it would allow us to get 10-1 online faster.
Really quick.
I see
That's what
nothing in
we-
here about inspections either. Are we paying for the inspection when it's done?
It's in the budget already. So that's been accounted for.
What about now? Tell them or
We perform our own internal justice.
might need to.
We have put that out there.
What's the downside of doing 5,100?
You're out 5,100.
And
Yeah.
so,
Well, if you don't do it, it's slower.
Okay,
That's the bigger deal.
we keep saying quicker, slower, and I have a grievance here. I need to see a critical path and a Gantt chart, and I need to understand if it goes pear-shaped again. I'm on the record, I don't care. I need to be able to attribute blame to a park. Out of all the stakeholders, after sitting down with this views, because I don't want to be sitting here in 2 months, and then Greg or Gary are trying to point the finger at you, or at Andrew, or at Dimmer, or at me, or at anybody saying, well, we didn't get it done because he didn't bring it, and then somebody's gonna say, yeah, but you didn't bring me the document that I needed, or the inspection wasn't carried, and I need to see a Gantt chart so that when that happens, there is no false attributing of facts. I need to be able to be, what's the critical path? What are their roles when helping you guys? What are your roles and what information do you need from them? Who has to be where? What time the gate opens? What time it closes? And the only way to do that is with a full construction schedule that can be submitted to Jim and shared with the board. So I don't know what party does it. I don't know if it's done internally. I don't think so. So Microsoft project is my preference, but I can take it steps. I don't care. I pray on and pay. It's just I need to be able to tell the critical path where your guys are going to be there, at what time they have to do something for you to be able to get there. If you have to drain the tank, what day has to be drained, how long before you guys go in, all those items, please.
Yeah, to answer that off the hip, the biggest hurdle is gonna be them both being ready back to back. In order to save any money and it to be good money to spend,
Yes.
is they both have to be ready to go.
Right.
Because it doesn't do no good to do one and then we're sitting here waiting for 2 weeks.
And the best way to be able to determine that is we need a critical path on a Gantt chart.
The comment last time was the scale, right?
Yeah.
And tank getting ready, and the question that disinfecting it for that couple of days turns into a week, turns into 2 weeks, right? So nothing would be on the clock or on the ground until both are indeed ready and tested, right? You gotta make sure all the kinks are ironed out, some no surprises pop up before
Thank you. Yes.
things start.
So please, let's figure it out. If we need a powwow with all the stakeholders, because I heard SCADA, so that means that A2 is the name, wait.
It's
A2, okay.
That was their concern.
There's an A and there's a 2. Okay. A squared needs to be there. Greg and Gary have to be there. Dimmer, if you guys need me there, I don't know if I'm allowed to be, but I will gladly do so. I've only been reviewing critical paths since I was 17 years old. So please, because that's where projects go to die without having a good schedule control. So, and this is my PMP speaking right now. But yes, please, because otherwise, if we're sitting here in a month, and it's again with the finger pointing, which happens in every construction project I've ever worked in, save for the ones that from the get-go, every single stakeholder signed the schedule. So please. Again, not sure who's responsible. I'm new to the board, I wasn't here when the contract was signed, but I don't know whose responsibility falls to put that one together. But
That one goes back, we'll go back to Andrew on his schedule and how he plans to calculate and handle it. And then within that, you would define what roles need to step up on various pieces when you're flipping the tank. So I'll go back to district roles and what have you.
I can make the outline and then there'll be a supplemental
Yeah.
Input and certain comments.
Will that cover the other awards too, if there's overlap like the two? I think in all reality, before he starts, Schedule 2 needs to be 100% complete.
One, two, three.
That's fair. That way we can test all of our, what we put in place with DRD and testing, get all that testing and electronics and stuff, hopefully by the week, and that way you can work on three on the bottom and get it ready to go. Or you see that and get it.
So, is there any, we've kind of, should this both Bob and Corinne as far as watching what's going on and dealing with this whole process. Is there any reason they couldn't be in on, especially with you guys and working up a critical path? No, can't, sir? No, I would say I'd welcome it. You guys want to be part of it, jump on. Okay, we both have a lot of experience with that. We can help carry some of that. Sure. The dependencies between, you're dependent on other people, you're dependent on you, all that stuff. There's no picture painting that story except what we're saying in the air. So how do we hold ourselves accountable? How do we hold anybody accountable if we can't see it? That's it. Okay, today, these three things are supposed to happen.
It don't matter.
That helps both. That's everybody.
No, it does.
Jim, you said that, you're kind of happy with, 37,000. I'm not. But, how are we gonna do it?
Now, I'll just go back to the county and see if they have any extra ARPA funds that aren't used or whatever. See if they'll have something that would help us with it. I know we could probably come up with these $250.
Good appreciation.
No problem with depreciation, things that we have saved. I said, cheers.
Okay, then probably the next step of this process
Would be to approve the change order with verification, for option 3 or option.
I would say this one would fall, I guess, first question, the $5,100, is that something you wanted to pursue for tank one? That gives you a shorter duration, shorter time duration. That's gonna kind of depend on the answer, basically.
But I think it would be worth it to get that tank back in service as soon as possible. Because that is our main tank that supplies all the other things. That's the most weight.
Chairman, I think what we're hearing about the $5,100 is the investment was outside the critical tank issue in terms of like built-in value. If we get the bill back that we really are facing opportunities to save costs, whether the key, if the equipment, it's an opportunity for $5,100. It could give us significant benefit. Understood. Well, even that, the only way to really to manage it, in terms of the decision to do it, I think that's pretty much straightforward. I'm critical path, absolutely.
I'm wrong.
So our next step is, and throw one thing in there. So that's option 3B on your back, that bottom numbers, 375, 388. And our recommendation would be to make that contingent on approving supporting documentation. That would basically be the extent of the change order. Yes. Yes. So, the one kicker in that number, this doesn't include refills on the roof. That's the only difference. This number does not have. So that would be something Andrew would have to provide. So actually, when it comes back to the change order, it's $259,640. That would be the change order price. That would be added to the overall contract. Plus whatever, if we go with 3 coats on the roof, whatever the 2 additional coats would cost. That make sense?
The recommendation Jim made of 1 coat on the outside, and three coats on the roof and a full inside. That figure isn't going to
It's not, because we don't have the 3 coats on the roof. On the exterior portion of it.
So it'd be 359 plus or whatever the cost point is.
Got it.
How much was it?
300.
No, 259.
Oh, 259.
641.
I'm sorry, what was?
259, 640.
I'll get on
That's on
a,
your sheet.
look at the option to.
Awesome.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, my question is then, when do we have this, critical path worked out? And when do we?
Critical path is gonna be, Andrew, how quick can you get a Gantt chart?
And we'll do it by next meeting, which is the last Tuesday of the month.
We probably want to do it more than,
Yeah, well,
it's gonna be 2 weeks out of work.
Yeah, I would say within 24 hours. I'm not a Gantt chart guy. I'll have to do like an Excel, and then we can add to it if you got software that can change it to format, but, I can at least get the draft started so you can see my time prediction or each step. Add on the supplemental things. that we need.
Call it appendices too, if you're depending on something from Metro Crew or a certain point, you decide to exclude party. But that's crucial for us to make sure your schedule is viable if they can't meet it.
And really, in my opinion, that's really tied to tank 1 and 2 with the extra stuff that's going on. 3, you can get going on to take care of the ring, start working on the outside while you're ready to drain it. That isn't relying on anybody for drainage. Which in my understanding can happen anytime.
Well,
Water in and state of the future. Do you have kind of an estimate of what it would cost for the 2 coats? Just ballpark.
And I could, get a calculator out, do some math. I'll need my computer.
In the meantime.
Yeah.
We're looking at a change order of 259, 640. Plus, no. Is this change order holding up any of the work we're still seeing under the original contract? Is it held up by this change order or is it change order?
That's what's coming.
So I'd say it is getting held, it will be getting held up through. More so because it's gonna be, if he can move into tank 2 and start working on it.
So I'm hearing that we need to make a decision, change order 259 right now, in order to keep schedule, keep work going even without being scheduled this third. This change order is critical back.
I'm pretty confident. I will go check for it. It's not gonna get over to. So you have 3 coats on the roof, 1 coat on the shell, and everything else is in motion. But the critical path and the chart, the steps, if you will, are really on 1 and 2 with flipping and turning things on, SCADA checking. That is dependent because I am relying on other people. I can go on work on tank 3.
I think the only question I have in all of this is, how does the district recoup the savings from their risk of the $5,100 on time.
Talking about using it from the salaries.
So if we're reducing it, because right now the way it's set up, contract for the change order is set up a month for each tank. So if we save 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is a week, how does the district recoup those savings?
I'll get more capacity on take one, two. You're operating on 20,000 gallons or 200.
Dollars that you save, will those dollars go back to the district? I.e. renting equipment, if you're, instead of running it for a month or 2 months, you're renting it for a month and a half, for a month and a week.
Yeah, so that was part of the idea we had about doing both interiors in a month. Blasting. Once the blasting is done, you couldn't. We're trying to kill two birds with one stone with equipment. And have the filters, the daily consumption of things, those are set. I can change those. Those I can change.
You have a reduction in these numbers for the week savings of the equipment?
The monthly rate is
Because it's already the $50 million. Right,
So,
Yeah,
it would be, it's already going from 90,100 to 87,10. On the dust collector is $6,500, the monthly cost. So that'll be that. And, the freight would also be, $14,000 for our district. $14,100. One time on the freight and one time on the cost.
Does that answer your question? Yes, I just want to make sure that those dollars will go back to the district. And that's what come out of the total.
Yeah, that would be deducted from the $174,000. 60.
So this is, I'm kicking myself for saying this, but what I would hope we could consider is having a special meeting of the week. Rooms, wallets taken care of, with all your numbers solidified on paper. Which is a lot of math on the fly, with your critical path all, and you've met with some people, we've got a game plan, and we can just have a quick meeting. We can, I think if we announce it on Friday, have it on Tuesday, bang, bang, 25, 30 minutes, and know what the heck we're talking about exactly, because we've thrown around a lot of numbers tonight. I don't really feel like I got my finger on the pulse of that. So I mean, if everybody wants to vote tonight, I'll vote.
Well, one thing before I bring the motion, Jim, are we allowed to come into a change order without having the funds in the bank? Because I remember that the county, that was a no-no. Okay. Okay.
But answer your question, no. But we do have.
Okay.
But we're not.
Okay. No, just wanted to make sure. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to bring.
Oh.
Fill study hall.
That's another.
And only on number one. Anything else, any questions, the board, does everybody understand?
There's one.
I think we're just quick, Jimmer put forward an idea about one code, and I think three codes of the European area. That's the thing we want to see, that's the schedule we want to see, that's the story we want to see. $51 reduction, any savings that comes from that. Sort of just that one week translate to an overall schedule. Finishing project submit reviews, your staff freed up.
I already calculated it, exactly.
We're just about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the meeting, special meeting next week.
Well,
I wanna do
that's up
other
to-
options.
On y'all.
So if we, we could agree that we could actually commit to the change order and still expect to see the same, see the report, or we can put that off. If we put off commit to the change order for a week, would that stall, would there be any stall in get it done, get you going?
I would have a crew on there.
You have to do it. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, the 259 question, that is something we have to do, so that we keep working on the.
Okay. All right.
And when you guys move your other bullets, I can step out and run the map on the roof so that you know that today. And go with Jason and we can come back and have the control, I guess, vote. But it's,
Okay. Next, comment on structure, Al goes in, I know we tabled it last time, as to which way we want to go, changes were made. Neil helped me on that. I believe everything has changed and move forward. Don't know whether you guys want to review all of this one more time and, bring it back to the next meeting and vote on it, or because we gotta put out a public hearing on it anyway, since it's going to be changed. What do we put out a public hearing? Because it's going to be changing our, I don't know, because it's under CCN. No, they're including.
Mr. Chairman, there's just one typo I found, on the first page, 2F. I think it's a typo, the very last sentence says, if required, taken by members of the if terms.
Yeah, that's on it. I was gonna say,
Gotta do something.
I just, we've been beating this around so
The
much.
only thing is,
Oh, it's on another. I'm sorry.
That's
Looking at the.
I will say, I can just look at this one, this is the last one.
I'll change it.
See you later.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Collins.
Anything else, Zach?
Determine how it goes with all of the else. It's determined with the little I, low it.
If required, taken by the members
Of the CCAHC committee, and then the if determined belongs with the little I below.
If determined to be a violation of.
But all the other bullets begin with the same if determined.
That's all.
First little I, if determined. But I compared, side by side, the documents and all the changes from discussed, and see what they were.
Or comments, questions, discussion about this. It did also include, Green and I had a meeting with, well, that's, that NMP sent us their, resolution, how they're doing. He would be willing to come down. In fact, he says they are also looking at more changes to theirs too. So I can, said, you want to hold this off for another week?
See what else we learned.
You know, what else we're gonna learn from it. We could, our notice was, July first, which, we give them 30 days anyway before we would start looking at filings or anything like that. We don't want to keep changing it, but no, I know, but what I'm saying is you give them 15 days for the first letter and then give them another 30 or 45 days for the second letter, which is much more than what public works. Yeah. But if Russell could be going and we have a time. Yeah, we do have time. As long as we get it done. Like I said, you wanted to learn more what their pickup are. It don't cost us. Other comments on this issue before? Okay, go ahead, John. Okay, next, I've got an estimate here from Colorado Pond and Lake. Every year, it seems like we have a influx in buttercup and milfoil. We did do the treatment for milfoil 3 years ago.
Was it already?
That killed it all. Then we're starting to get it back in certain spots. This would, help Gary on his side with, organic,
TOCs.
the POCs, the organic compounds. If we spraying, I believe it's worth the,
We have to,
It's spreading.
they're on our butt like,
They guarantee this for 3 years.
they did for the millify, which is.
for the first application, they came back 3 years in a row. This will be starting a new series, but
The first application, that was the guarantee for the 3 years, was $90,000 to do it, which it did kill it, and I think if you stay ahead of it,
ahead of it.
keeping this going on, we won't have a problem.
It causes us a lot of trouble at the plant.
Yeah, have they been down to look at the issue or? I believe so, that's how.
They said they were coming. I didn't see them.
Usually they do it with the drone, fly over the lake and our waterways and stuff that way to get. Board, any questions on this? Okay, next you have, a estimate to remove beaver ponds. We have 2 beaver ponds that end up, causing a backup with our infiltration system down by the, plant, by our, maintenance garage. You need to pull them out because it's causing it to back up and go across somebody else's property. The estimate for it was $15,565.
Would you add to that?
No, because actually, they need, the biggest cost in this is renting a piece of equipment. The last time we rented a piece of equipment, cost us $4,000 anyway, so have somebody else do it. It's responsibility and risk. Maybe it's worth it.
We need to film it.
No, we do not. I've talked with the state on the game warden. I've been trying to kill these beavers and I can't catch them yet.
We killed one last year. He accidentally jumped into our
Yeah,
food pond.
but
No.
no, you can't. The one that we did get, he took my trap all the way to the bottom.
The only way you can trap in this state anyhow is with life.
But anyway, the reason we've got 2 reasons for doing this. Number one, E. coli. Yeah, it's backing up our water and the flow. And the other, out of the clear blue, is the mosquito crap. What do you call it? West Nile. I mean, we've got water standing everywhere. We've got to get the creek opened up, and it's one, for our test, we have to have that water flowing. We can't have it being in a dead pool. So,
There were two beaver ponds? I believe so.
no, we've got probably 4 or 5. But the big ones, there's 2 great big ones, and then there's some smaller ones.
So this estimate for this quote, for all of them? Yes.
Yes. And it's something we have to get done.
Okay, sounds like that's the deal.
Go ahead, Bill.
Okay, next, you have, I received an enforcement letter for our wastewater side. At this time I am dealing with, our attorneys,
Yeah, no.
and also with, our crew for our testing and also our ORC, to try and get all this information together and, get it all straightened out. So this I got about, I got it in an email 2 weeks ago with a hard copy I got it. So that's why you guys haven't heard about it, we've been working, I've been working with Dave Lewis, which is our ORC, and finding out what he feels on it. And also we're talking to the attorneys yesterday as to how we wanna go forward with all of this.
May I ask you a question,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
So Jim, going forward, would you say that, you're taking the lead on this, or the attorneys are taking the lead on it? Or is
It's all of
it
us. It's 50/50, and actually with the ORC, they're part of it too, because he has a lot of the documentation, whereas our guys have documentation on it too.
Is our old sewer lagoon line?
Pardon?
Is our sewer lagoon, old sewer lagoon line?
I don't believe so.
No.
And that's what.
When you say old sewer lagoon,
It's the ponds.
The
oh,
overflow-
the pond.
Yeah.
The overflow pond.
Oh.
We do pump it right back.
Okay. No, we have a way to take that overflow if something goes south on us. We can take it from that lagoon, pump it back up to the headworks and run it back through.
It seemed like the thing that they were particularly peeved about was the fact that it wasn't lined.
And that's actually something, because I checked all the limits and we're within limits and everything. I mean, on the coliforms, we're fine, on the ammonia, we're fine. So it seems to me that the lining is the main key that they're after.
Well, yeah, you're correct. For the leach problem being where we're located in the creek, they're more concerned, I think, with the leach problem. But that pond, our overflow pond is not overflowed. There's nothing in it. We can go down there right now and you could walk across. I mean, there's nothing in there.
And it's solid bedrock. Well,
So we're kind of caught between,
the first one goes back to 2020. Yeah, so it's not now that we're dealing with it. In fact, the one issue here, one thing that bothers me is that we haven't had this before. We haven't been presented with this before. We had a December 31, 2020 failed to submit the final report. And so this goes back a few years, and we should be on top of this stuff, you know, this is. We have our water enforcement order that we need to be aware of, and we have to. That's what I'm saying. Board have, oh, that was.
Well, there was on May of last year, there was a report or complaint called into the Pueblo Department of Health and Environment, based on residents complaining about improper storage of sewage.
now, may I respond to that?
Well, yeah, that's just what I read.
Well, what that is, we bought the fan press. And we were, instead of paying over $100,000 a year, we bought a fan press. And so we press the water out. We have what's left. We take it down to the big basin and we store it. And then when it dries out, we haul it to the landfill. And that was their like, oh, they're just dumping. No. It's all very much up in the state. The state knows about it. but they were concerned, those houses that live
The border.
the sewer plant, they're like, what are you doing? Well, they see cake, and that's all it is, it's just cake.
Did we get complaints before they called?
No, until we didn't, we never had complaints until we started the fan press. And
So we did get complaints.
no, not until we started the fan press.
Not, we
Clint,
got
it-
complaints from Pueblo County Health Department
Okay.
that came down and looked at it and we explained what we're doing. They said, oh, you're within reason of what you need to be doing.
So Greg, what really were the complaints about odor?
No, I mean, there's no order.
I know,
It's
but
all
for
gone.
the people.
No, but they seen us taking what looked like,
Raw sewage.
raw sewage and dumping it into a pile. Well, that made them like, what the heck?
That's standard procedure in any wastewater treatment, and the city does it the same, but on an industrial
Yeah.
level.
Well, the city does the same
But
thing,
every plant-
but they have runways where we don't have runways. And you dry it, turn it over, dry it some more, and we take it to the landfill.
Because
Which,
right now, we're taking about 78% of the water out of it. We use a coagulant that takes all the solids out of what's coming through the sewer plant. So it takes all the solids, it compacts it down to where there's probably, 23%
less
water
than that.
contained or less, and now we have to dry it when we have to haul. So that's why we kind of spread it out, let it dry, you rotate it, and then we get it all that.
So I guess, Mr. Chairman, man, if, what I'm not getting a big deal about is that if somebody complained in 2024 about something that they misinterpreted, and the county came out and said it was cool, why the hell is it in the report? Why is
It's
it
a
in the
new
state
girl.
report?
It's a new, they switch over nonstop.
I know, but if nothing bad happened,
Nothing bad has
Why?
happened.
is it being mentioned in the state document?
And even in the same aspect of this, Mandy Mercer was the one that came down, and she was here with our, CCR, our consumer, well, no, I take that back. She was here for our sanitary survey of the deal. We explained it to her, she says, oh, okay. So she knew about it, but now you have this new girl that came in for her that is saying, well, there was a complaint because somebody had complained to them. They went back to the county and had the county come down and look at it. I don't know whether the county ever sent back a report to the state saying that the search we are in line with.
You know, in my view, I would,
Yeah,
our lawyers should
it's,
have that stricken from this report.
And that's what.
it's, we're doing everything by the book. We've had our biosolids that we press, has been tested by the state, which has been approved by Waste Management, that we can dump. It was just a matter of new people moving into that area, and they see us moving biosolids. And
The state actually went over and talked to the homeowners. 'Cause
Yeah,
I gave them the
actually.
tour and showed them what was going on. They looked around, they thought that we possibly were putting directly into the creek. And I showed them that there's no physical way they could get it there.
Yeah.
They went out the gate, went to the people's house and spoke to them and said, this is all copacetic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
so,
is-
I mean, this is one of those, just like, the manager just said. We're doing things right, but they called in, we got one person from the state saying this. They said, okay, we got a new person coming in and going, oh, this ain't right, no.
Which reminds me, which reminds me too. Ben Kiley is not going to be our representative for water. It has changed to Tim Jones.
Oh,
So we got Tim
great.
Jones now. That's what I'm saying, I'm rotating people around.
Okay, so Jim, you'll give us an update on this.
Yes,
next
as
week.
soon as I get all of the investigation done and put together and get a report out and the lawyer.
Okay. All right, let's move on. That's what June 20th, okay.
Yeah, 27th. Yeah, so we do the 30 days. And there's other things, what I am looking at is probably contracting with NOCO, for number 57 in our 57, 58. We have to have a higher, retain a service of a professional engineer. Need to have more knowledge of our, plant than anybody else.
Yeah, these corrective measures, if we're required to do them, it's gonna be pretty expensive.
And so we're, yeah.
This plan was put in 2005.
So, in the meantime, Jim, you're working on that with our attorney
Yes.
to deal with this. Okay.
Yeah.
Along that line, I think as far as the forest issues with intervening hiring a professional engineer, well, that kind of will depend on whether you can get this dropped in.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, if.
Yeah.
Or any other thing, questions, comments about this? Okay, let's move on.
Okay, CCAAC review, all you have is a fence on, 41 and 11 Andrew Drive. It's gonna be a split rail, 3 foot high. There is the block map showing where it's going. Be the big black line on the backside, which there is a cliff. That's why we're probably wanting to put some students in their patio equipment and blown up.
Okay, question for you. Larry, do you have anything to add as far as the CCAAC? Anything else? Let's see, I think I had it very well.
Big statement on.
Yes, I do. In order for the business board to be conducted in a more effective and expeditious manner, in my area.
Finally,
Uh,
finally.
In order for the business board to be conducted in a more effective and expeditious manner, it is necessary that all persons present meet or fill the board staff and each other. One note that the discussion of that will not be followed. Silence is not order, or use of suggestions from the such behaviors that constitute the forfeiture of your right to remain in contact. The point board is brought to both attention by council and board members, including chairperson, resulting in being asked to leave the meeting by chairperson or former refusal, being asked to go out of the meeting by proper field.
More person winner, yes.
Yes.
Part of that goes against the First Amendment, you know. Just thought I'd throw it out. Okay, I'm gonna make this quick, this is a long meeting here. They were talking about lead in our tanks. A couple of years ago, I asked, when I found out lead was in our lead line, water line, I asked if we were drinking lead-laced water. Is the lead from these tanks going through?
No,
No,
it is lead primer. It's on the inside. And then it's cut with the box over the left.
But,
So, but they have to go all the way down to the metal to redo the.
I was just curious about that.
It's a capsule.
Started putting all this lead stuff, like drinking it.
Encapsulated.
Okay.
Good job.
I'll go over everything I have. Maybe didn't go too long. But one thing I gotta bring up. This morning when I'm on my way into town, I almost took out one of the Metro trucks. Somebody turned around, made a U-turn. I come on to 165 from Cibola. And I was going down 165, I wasn't even at speed limit yet, and somebody in one of your trucks made a U-turn right in the middle of 165. And if I'd been going the speed limit, I would have hit it. And I honked when I went by. My wife looked at him and said, "The son of a bitch just flipped you off." So, if I'd had time, me and whoever that was would have had a little discussion.
I will have
So
discussion.
I'm not real happy with
You
that.
know, what kind of a truck?
A white truck with Colorado City,
Is it a
Metro,
Ford pickup? Was it
A service truck?
a white pickup.
Well, there's a lot of white
a,
pickups.
Well, I know there's a lot of white pickups.
but all of our trucks are like that.
I realize that.
I will address,
I probably, like I said, if I had the time, I would have stopped and we would have had a little discussion. Because I don't like somebody flipping me off.
On Cibola,
No, they were on 165. And they made a U-turn right in the middle of 165 highway.
no,
Like I said, if I'd been going the speed limit, I would have kept on that sucker.
I will address it.
Okay, thank you. I knew into it.
I don't have input out either.
One question. Okay, since you guys have brought in this thing of finding people, like you said last time that you're going to go by complaints only. If someone in Unit 5 that I live in was to sign or file a complaint against everybody in Unit 5 that has an illegal fence that goes against the covenants, are they going to be fined? Or is this going to be across the board like that? Or I mean, realistically speaking, are they going to be get a letter saying your fence, make it according to our covenants?
Well, but again, Dennis, we are going to have to use our best judgment as to which covenants are an issue and which are not. So would we be able to proceed with covenant enforcement on all offenses in Colorado City? Quite likely not. Now, it's going to be up to the board. Quite likely not. So that probably would be one where we would have to decide as a board that it is either worth our while to pursue it or not. So, and we're going to have to decide on it.
Sure, right.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So here's what a lot of this will boil down to, I think, and this is how I would frame it, is that we really are short-staffed. And we really work hard on around and salmon fences, with chickens, or a number of other minutia.
I realize that.
You know, and that's essentially what I think every governmental agency uses a business judgment rule. You'll notice that the county doesn't always come out and do work on your road. They're saying, well, we're down an operator. You do what you can do, and we don't really have the people to do that.
Covenant enforcement, you actually have a choice that you have to make. You either inspect the city or you wait for complaints. You don't do both.
Right.
Because, and if you inspect the city, you have to have a log, you have to have a program, it has to be a set time, you have to show that you have gone through every single property. And that's why you can't really do it. The alternative is wait for complaints to come in. And that keeps you out of the legal trap of missing property.
So in that case, quite like the business judgment rule would pop up. It is not for the best interest of PMD to enforce that covenant in Unit 5.
Basically, I've been told for years that the board cannot change or alter or anything else covenants.
That's correct.
But basically you're doing it by not enforcing it.
Using the business judgment rule, which is established in the books.
So,
But not enforced.
one of the examples I think in real life that I used to sit in meetings some time ago. For example, it's against the law to run a stop sign, but a law enforcement officer is a busy person, and a busy person is not going to ticket you for rolling through a stop sign.
Is it me?
Probably. Probably. And it's the law. It's the law. So you can't say they're changing the law by not enforcing it. You're just saying that they got better things to do. And that's kind of the position we're in. That's my view of it.
We could beat this up, we could.
I know, I did it.
So,
The question came up to me, I thought, okay, and I kind of wondered about the same thing. Because like I said, I've been told for years by board that you can't alter, you can't change, you can't do anything with these covenants. You know, they're set in stone, which means to me that you have to enforce them. You know, but now you're telling me you don't have to enforce them.
But we don't have the resources to.
Well, I know, but basically you're saying you don't have to enforce it because you don't have resources or whatever. Okay. Just curious. That's it. The other stuff, I'll wait till next meeting. Thank you.
that's it. Again? Over, anything else? Okay. So it's the study session, open for another meeting, the board of directors talking about that, that's it. Wow, 7:35 p.m. Join.
Let's do the flag.
The flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, well, it's fun. Once you solve the question, go through. Thank you, everybody. We have a full forum, all board members present.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Get a second? You second, you second. Got rid of one. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for study session, regular meeting, May 27th, 2025. The minutes, May 27th, 2025. Special meeting, June 5th, 2025.
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bills payable.
I'll make a motion that we pay the bill.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Anybody?
Yeah.
Well, I will remind everybody that 100,396 square. If you go through his bill, which is over 1,000, there's been a lot of work that he has done on Cold Springs and
Main water plant.
be getting this tank online and. Well, I understand. I'm not talking about that. Yeah, a lot of work. I'm not talking about that. But that's. We have a starter charger. Maintenance for $120. What the heck is starter charger?
What?
Power charger?
For battery?
For charging, battery charging?
Battery charger like that. I'll have to look at it.
Oh, it's probably a battery charger that also has a start function. That, like you have at the house.
So you mean we didn't have one of those already?
Well, we have several, but the one that we do have down at the maintenance shop was here when I started. So it probably scrapped out.
That's 38 years ago.
Hey, I have a phone that's probably even older than that.
38 years.
Dry bar? How many dry bars do we have?
One more.
We got more. I don't like that.
I don't know.
Mr. Chairman, are we concerned about the managing,
Yeah.
by?
Yeah.
Are we,
I'd like to turn
we have supervision to all the employees to be superintendent.
yeah, fair enough.
I don't know if it's accurate, if it's appropriate or not. I mean, is the question here a supervision problem or is the question whether we needed it or not? I would say supervision problem. So maybe the real discussion here isn't about the pry bars, whether we have a conversation with Jim about if it did supervisors or whatever, but more specifically.
But you notice that Jamil is, how one of us there was. So they are getting their rights.
To pay more attention to.
Yeah. And we also, in return with all of that, we also applied for the Amazon business account through SBA, which is gonna save us a lot more. And it gives us the opportunity to get a lot of our stuff quicker and when we need it. We probably still are not gonna get pry bars from Amazon.
I don't-
We can get pry bars. Hopefully, we'll find less.
Yeah.
The question is,
I think the that's the point I'm trying to every month. All we do talk to the base.
and I think, I just wanted to say, maybe that's the discussion instead of some of these specifics so we can get down to. Mr. Chairman, if I could volunteer something. The discussion about the Amazon example, one of the things that in my career I do is with contracts that are issued by states and other states, so the method could leverage, similar to the savings we're gonna get by going down with Amazon, companies like Fastenal, Ranger, and all of that. It's a specific thing I'm involved with professionally and have responsibility for. I can work with Gemma and the staff to identify when those contracts will be, which of the contracts are available to the Metro, and therefore see if there's some additional cost savings to be had through those contracts as opposed to doing individual store purchases and maybe buying bulk. Some of the things that are good, if you would do that. It's easy for me to do and something I already am involved with. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, I did note the FDA payment in the MasterCard. For Amazon, but we're gonna go through SBA and it's not fair to. No, it's associated with the SBA, which is like a corporate account, but we're all individuals. Within that account.
So it's a business private, off the top, it saves us $500 annually.
Good.
So, yeah, and then I'm also, Tasha is also tasked with, going through some of our billing and seeing what we can get through there instead of, so she has a task to attend to as well. So we are involved and on top of that on our situation, but I do want to give credit to our supervisors and our staff for depleting our ACE bill into half after they were talked to about it last month. So I do want to give them credit for that.
Good, thank you. Then MasterCard. Camera, router, rubber, something, for Parks and Recs for. This was some of the stuff that we have ordered from Amazon, but we had to use our credit card to do it. And what that is I believe it was a security camera for Newfield down there in the box with all of that.
Mr. Chairman, can I open the card? Just to get out of my ignorance, we did a lot of books for the water treatment. Is this one of those situations where we get new versions of books?
This is actually going, some of them were through AWWA and some of them we went through Amazon that they have better price and getting them.
We have to buy books every so often because they get dated and that's what's going on.
Oh,
No, we're actually going through training to get our distribution and collection guys certified. So they're textbooks. Yes.
Okay, got the books for the training. That's what I didn't understand.
Okay, anybody else got any questions? Let's pay the bills. Ray,
Yeah.
Bob, yes, sir. Graham,
Yes.
Clint,
Yes.
and Joe, okay. No financial operational? Operational, they took we had our inspection on the 27th of May and the 4th. As you see, we went up 0.1, lake level. Everything else pretty much stayed the same except for the weir, which it dropped down to 0.18 because it was raining that day. So, as for your physiometer, if you look at it for that time period, everything was basically the same, might have went up 0.1, 0.2, or down 0.1, 0.2 in infiltration or not. Holly Dock Golf Course, Pro Shop, revenues, 2024. Main revenue was, 59,000. I think Mike made a mistake with the 2022, there should be 2025. For that revenue for 2025 is 72,000. If you look at for year to date, we're up about 80,000. Membership total, we're up 12,000 for memberships. May was filled with rainy days, but in between the rain, we had a great month. New windows, doors are going in and working amazing, and that made a big difference with temperature control of the clubhouse. You haven't seen them, go down where I feel very nice. As for maintenance, rain from May 1st to June 6th, we had 5.6 inches. Irrigation use had drastically come to a halt. Areas of flooding and standing water do exist. Greens broadcast treated, algae fungicide, broomed, bird gun. Of course, mowing increased with rain, fertilizer applications, being sprayed with appropriate fertilizer growth, regulations. Fairways, tees, some roughs have been spot treated, fertilized for uniform growth and color. Irrigation work is also ongoing and lots of problems fixed and cleaned up. Parks and Rec operation day to day. I never want to complain about moisture, but with rain has made mowing operation a little challenging. We're close to getting caught up and on a normal schedule. We have one more break, bracket for either cooler or we were able to plow it back together and have it out at least get it up and running until the new park come home. Sports, baseball was underway and going well. They're having a hard time fighting teams to play are 10 and under. We have a team from Provo coming up for both 8 under and 10 under. The team from Provo West coming to play our 8 under team. The new field has helped tremendously with practice settings for all of our teams, especially the other field being wet for a couple of weeks straight. Pool season is in full swing. The swim lesson starting next week. Both time slots are full with 30 participants in each one. We also have 10 full parties scheduled with more coming in. We also had our health department inspection done in the pool and concession. We both swept great. Water report, water plant produced 16.3 million gallons of water. Both things was down 6 days due to the fact that we had no place to put more water. We continue to work on cleaning and pinning filters. The new meter has been placed on K2 at Cold Springs. A square will need to work on PLC to have the meter show flow. Once completed, both skips should be running again. Main plant is going into standby 46 hours per day. They're moving forward on tank painting. Some of the groundwork has been completed with the blind tank now. They will be raising the tank to receive water from one of the corner drains outlet. We will be ordering VFDs and PLCs to the doghouse for tank one, along with a rebuilt pump and motor. Once prepared for them, plat will look, main plat will look to tank four for levels on and off until paintwork is completed, the vault has been ordered and should arrive, which we are picking it up tomorrow. Tank three is near full, and we are waiting for it to be inspected. Divers will be able to let us view lift damage that has occurred over the years. Gas projects are creeping forward as engineering is nearly completed. FYI, the main water plant, differential water used for backwashing and cleaning in place equal 2.3 million gallons that will be returned to the rec pond for golf course, golf mules, raw water, hauling the gas over water to be closer to 10,000 per month. The wastewater plant received 10.1 million gallons of raw wastewater treated and returned 11.3 million gallons of water. A Squared has got all of the VFDs installed and online. We are waiting on enclosures for the SC 4500s. Along the units fully enclosed to protect them from elements. The plant has received 19 days of flow that were at or above the 80% level of plant capacity. These numbers trigger looking into the expansion of the plant. The crew has been very busy, Aiden is still out, and Eric has assumed the lead. As you know, the 550 broke down, has moved on, and we have no truck driver. The jetter has been repaired, fuel pump on the 550 has, the 250 has new brakes, all trucks have fresh oil. 1 acre's meter raised has been replaced. Applewood Court, served lid replaced, Cold Springs skid, 2 valves replaced, tank 1 dig, Converti, water break, service line, Monte Vista, service line repaired, Left County Lane, dig for Inichi sewer, jetted, and community cleanup. The crew has been involved in.
May I ask, Mr. Chairman? Go ahead. So how many meters did we get changed out in now?
I don't have a number.
They told me at least 5.
Nice.
Yeah, they're trying to.
There was 5, there was 5,
Thank you so much.
there was 5.
And Christie, I was gonna ask, are you seeing a revenue drop with all this rain? Finished water revenue?
We won't know until the end of the month, because because we don't do May until the end of June, so we won't know any of that.
Okay.
Yep.
I know I've seen
Next
people
month
water,
report.
some people watering the grass all the time.
Timer, the timer.
Question for it. One thing I did get the comment, did you get those elbows?
No, I had Eric Adam, and I didn't give it.
Okay. I was, watching, was there a water break on Verdict, and I talked to Greg about that. So it's galvanized pipe, fuel galvanized pipe. 2 of the elbows, the 90-degree elbows, have holes in them that were corrosion holes. One of them was probably, I'd say, a 1/4 inch diameter. And that's not what caused the reason for the repair and break. It was because of the plastic kitty that broke, that let the water come to the surface. But those 2 elbows have been leaking for how many years? When you think about a 1/4 inch diameter hole leaking water down the ground for how many years, how much water they lose. So that's kind of the issue that these guys are dealing with. And
Well, no, you're absolutely right in that aspect, but until it comes to the surface, we have no idea.
it was following the shale down underneath.
Yeah, it goes,
Wasn't visible until the plastic fitting broke and that came to fix.
right.
Cause it was actually following the line too, and coming up in the meter.
So anyway, I had them asking to keep those elbows, because I think that's something we ought to see, that that's
But,
something we're doing.
yeah, and no, it's, that might be a little bit of water, but as far as what
Okay, let's
we're
move on.
doing,
Attorney's report now, on the committee, again, the Douglas committee.
Yes, Bob, you're on the, oh, here for the one.
Yeah, I see that. So I'll be getting with Tim after this meeting. So I'm for that piece.
Well, it will be, you, last week. All right, anything else for the committee reports? You guys are working on the stuff here, so.
One little, do I make my own comment
Go ahead.
pertaining the building regional committee that had discussed last time?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to bring up, an item right now, that are ongoing discussions at the level of Florida County Commissioners, and have been, it was a public notice posted that there is some uncertainty pertaining building regional role within Pueblo County's area. There is the possibility of the county pulling out of the IGA that maintains building regional, which would effectively split building regional into county and city, the way that the planning regional was split after the fall of CFNI back in the day. So that has created some uncertainty as to the item that I brought up last time to the board's attention about including us or revising the role of building regional within our writing sheet to help our teams when assuring compliance with check valves and all the stuff that we want to do.
Basketball.
Yeah, backflow preventers, all that stuff. There is a lot of, there was an email that we were copied, Jim and I, from Mark Guerrero, the head of building regional. But since then, there's been so much uncertainty and call it noise, for lack of a better word, that I believe it's wise just to give it an extra week or so and see how things play out.
Anything else? All right, Jim, attorney report? Attorney's report you got in there, that has changed. You probably really received another confidential email this afternoon as to the status of WSRF. There was, we were talking to her, and so within that email, was very good for our USDA loan. And that, we didn't get the figures exactly, but, after talking to Allison, she said that she can give us the amount of that loan, but she left. Well, look, everybody has an email. Yeah, about that, right, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a comment pertaining to the email, the funding. After that, I was here during Thursday's meeting last week, Thursday.
Yeah.
I made the comment, asking whether the design engineers would be also the construction reps for the metro. They said that yes. I looked into it a little bit more. We have to make sure USDA money, same as both state funds and federal funds, comes with a caveat that due to conflict of interest, design engineers cannot act also as owner's rep on behalf of the owner. Yeah, because they will try to expunge fault from themselves should there be a design fault and try to diverse. So, and Colorado Department of Transportation, Pueblo County, the city of Pueblo, amongst others, usually retain a separate firm from the design wants to carry out construction management and owner's rep services. So I would advise, let's look into it, make sure that we don't get ourselves in hot water with who's giving us the money.
I appreciate that.
No, that's it. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Okay, agenda items. Change order for Dave Penny. Is going right up.
There we go, yeah, so run the math on the roof option of doing 3 coats and still keeping the shell at 1 coat on tank 3. Those costs would be $22,500. Would be the additional bucket of money there for the shell. That 22.5 is for 2 more coats with the zinc, for the polysilicon on the roof. For labor and material.
So that's above the 250,000.
That's 772, June 8th. And I'll follow up with this when we do the, data here, but I believe as far as the line, and we were able to move from tank 1 to 2 back to back, we can save, the question came up about what we can save. $14,100 minus the $87,000. Detail 5, it's 6,500 on the month rent and the rate at 76.
Board, yes, we're up to the motion on the agenda here. Go for it.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to convene again, next week, Thursday?
No, Tuesday.
Oh.
Your next week,
Yeah.
a special meeting. That way we can get all the figures. Well, okay, so we get to the discussion on that. I'll set to it. All right, discussion. So if we don't pass this change order, even the 259 tonight, we're going to delay construction by a week. Should we set the change order at 259? 1,000. But increase it after the discussion next week. I mean, could we actually break, again, a change order? If we actually increase it above the 259. Is there any reason we shouldn't do that? So what I would suggest is in the main, because we're going to have to go through this 259 issue. Right? I would like to amend your motion to pass the change order for the 259-640. With still having the provision of having the meeting, we've got to get this done next week. Okay.
Would like to second the amended motion?
I'll second the amended motion.
Hold on, with verified invoices. Match.
Yeah, all the possible invoices to support, later.
And the critical staff.
And that's what we'll be discussing on Tuesday.
I like that.
I'll be prepared with the schedule and all the supporting documentation.
By doing that, then you can continue working right now.
Yeah, there's nothing stopping me to go to tank 3 to do the handrail portion of the work, right? And just sandblast the exterior free while we still work through tank 1 and 2. That allows my crew to make progress on our project.
So you pulled your motion, Green,
Yeah,
and you seconded,
yes, and
Jason, is that as a project manager of this whole process, would that make sense to you? What's your? The motion on the board, on the floor then, is to authorize the change order of 259-640. Right, yeah, second one.
yeah, I second.
Is that correct? Everybody understand that? All right, any questions, discussion? Let's go, Mark.
Yes.
Graham?
Yes.
Paul? Yes. Ray?
Yep.
And Joe votes yes. Good work. Thank you.
okay, next you have Covenant's Resolution 06-2025, amending, fund structure.
Mr. Chairman, I made
Thank you guys for your.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion, approve Covenant Resolution 06-2025, amending the fine structure.
Let's, okay, discussion. Would you, with the correction, right? Of
The typo, yeah,
the type, yeah,
of course.
okay. Discussion, questions? Let's vote. Clint?
Yes.
Graham?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Bob? Yes. Ray?
Yeah.
Clint, I had to take a second. I think it's then hard to bring you through. You'll have a big kind of relief to create an office for a while. Okay, and next on the agenda items, spraying of Lake Beckwith. That is the Colorado Pond and Lake, for $5,226.65.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the spraying of Lake Beckwith for that stated amount.
Second, moved and second, questions, discussion?
Nope, seems necessary.
I think so, when we went through this with other vendors in the before, this can use that one. Okay, let's go. Bob? Yes. Ben?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
Ray?
Yeah.
We're both yes. Okay, next on the agenda, removal of beaver dams. For the amount of $15,565. Chairman, make a motion to approve the removal of beaver dams, stated figure.
Second.
Move the second, discussion, question? Jim, do we have it in the budget? Yes. It won't be under operating. We can pull it out. Okay.
Let the record state that I love beavers, but it's necessary. No, it is.
Yeah,
There's the civil engineers of nature. I respect the animal tremendously.
Kareem will take him into his home and check for you.
And release them when necessary.
All right, let's go. Ray?
Yep.
Bob? Yes. Rim?
Yes.
Clint?
Yes.
We're both yes.
5.
Maybe we move down the street or better.
Probably.
For the
Tigers, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Jim, on the old business, do you have anything? Well repair, I did get a hold of Ted, which is, Tom's ex-partner or whatever, he is trying to schedule that out and get it straightened out with it. Ranch water, we haven't made any progress there. We're still trying to figure out, we had more trying to figure out other issues than with it right now. Water loss, we're still working on it. Wages, we haven't worked on it either. We've been beating our head. Water survey, leak detection, still talking with Nate on it, and we're working on it. And dam pricing, Green, myself, and Bob will be meeting on it next week to get with Tracy and Bob, our judge, for the contract, what they want. So, have there been any more issues, but I don't think people want to do the job? No, I did get a, email from Tracy wanting to know whether we signed the contract yet and stuff, which we're still reviewing. The updated contract. Okay. Next week, we'll know, next meeting, then we'll know more about. Yes. LGA. Okay, yeah. Not the special meeting, but at the meeting. No response from Rosemore or Camelot, others? No. What about, the action on, AOSP, anything? We're working on them now. No, the legal action. Oh, legal action, no. I did talk to, Carolyn, and yes, they are going to ask for a counterclaim for legal fees and stuff. Is she gonna bump it to, district court or? No, she'll keep it at, she'll keep it at, that. Will she represent us on that? No claims. She can file for, charges for her service and stuff representing. Okay. Well, they're not coming up, so, yeah, that's in July.
July 11th.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that last time that we discussed the fines, there was a question pertaining to small, should somebody choose to dispute the fines and small claims court, and whether we could seek damages, and Jim and I asked the Metro District, they asked their attorney, who's our attorney, and the fact is that yes, if they do dispute the report, we can seek reimbursement for those. I have that on this.
Anything else? New business? Please no. Please no. We have the RPA meeting is going, are you two are going?
Yes.
Yeah.
What day is it again?
It is next Friday.
No,
Or
it's
this
Friday.
Repeat this out.
It's Friday.
You can make it, please. I told, I'll pick up, Bob's gonna be in Pueblo, and I'll pick up Christie on the north side of Pueblo there, where everybody parks. You're gonna want to ride with me. And, cause I have to be back for a doctor's appointment at 2:30, so it's gonna be until 12:30, so we can get back right away, or,
I'll clear my schedule.
okay.
I had an appointment.
Yeah. Well, as a consideration, the convention, FDA convention, I guess that we kind of need to watch, see what board members want to go to that, or whether, but if you guys are interested, that's coming up. That's a week in September.
That's in
So I think about it,
September.
it's September. In July, they will open up for scholarships. If you have not ever been to the SDA, we can apply for scholarships for people to go, and it doesn't cost. I definitely would like to attend that. I think it's wise, it's good, good afternoon, good conference. It's 3 days, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, usually the second week in September. Which are meeting this time, falls in the end of the third week. All right, let's get this. Okay, we need to approve this fence. CCAC, the construction of the fence at 4111 Andrew Drive.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion.
Second, move and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, correspondence, you did have the SBA, you mentioned it. It's gonna be at the Falcon Sanitation, District, their new office, beautiful building, it's just hard to find. And we are going to have a staff barbecue on the 20th.
So they're gonna-
The third annual, we're gonna have, which is 20th, yeah, which is not, it will be the home
Oh,
party.
that's right.
So we'll have hamburgers, hot dogs.
Swear.
Yeah. We'll have a safety meeting with our staff and everything, usually about 11:30. If you want to come and, meet all of our staff members, we'll have everybody from permanent to seasonal, which is lifeguards, golf course, parks and rec, mowers. So, we usually try to do it for everybody. Anything else?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Oh, harder than that.
I'm tired. Okay, guys, hang on. No, you don't. I will throw this back.
Right, next business if they're meeting.
No, look how fresh it's got.
Yeah, so
We only have like 2 to sign.
he said he's gonna do his own inspection.
And you all just.
And the thing is, he's not legal.
Need one.
That
Yeah, well, I
is.
don't know.
I haven't got my hair all wrapped around.
You got-
We're gonna sit down. We can't go.
Well, this is on the record that
We'll
we're
have
not.
to go take one.
It's nothing negative.
Well, I appreciate that. Not much.
But it's 50.
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
The meeting, I was gonna have with,
It's always been there.
contractor, I got it.
That means you guys.
Yeah.
These are blocks.
Well, not the one out front.
Well, then I don't.
I got John,
They made these second signs
Once.
Yeah.
No, I do not. Gary, I'm still trying to figure out how we're gonna fucking pull this off. So when they go out.
Yeah.
Green. I drank three, quick.
She'll be in the mark, but I'll let her know just so.
Well, they give her money.
What if
Thank you.
patch on the floor?
Oh.
When comes in, out.
Yeah.
I'll give you right. Thank you, thank you.
So we can run. Greg, thank you very much.
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate your work.
We'll see you at the next movie.
At the next one,
The next meeting. Movie.
depends on whether I quit or not.
Well, you can quit. No, you're not gonna quit. Not yet.
Okay, I'll wait till you.
Wait till it gets worse.
Huh?
Wait till it gets a little
We
worse.
can't quit, it's just starting to get fun now.
I'm just messing.
All right.
Good night.
Same line. How'd you do this morning?
You know, I didn't get too bad for a while.
You and I got you.
They're gonna tear it out, they just hope the papers move, so you don't have them to rebuild.
Oh, did you come on?
That's right.
Do you know how many times I have shot?
Thank you.
They are quick.
Well, I know.
You're lucky we got one.